Hey, what's up guys? It's Corey here with Dapper Dollars, and today we're going to talk about why I decided to invest in Aemetis, ticker symbol AMTX. Ready? Let's get started. So, this channel is all about using the online income opportunities of print-on-demand platforms like Merch by Amazon, Redbubble, Etsy, everything like that to create passive income for yourself, to invest in the stock market or real estate and grow your financial wealth so that you're able to create financial freedom for yourself and your family in the future. If that sounds like something that interests you, like and subscribe, and let's get into my newest stock purchase. So, this is a pretty small position. I just put about $200 in on Aemetis, ticker symbol AMTX. On Friday, I bought in at $2.10, so I got like 95 shares, I think. And honestly, I made this in a really bad decision. It was not I knew I wanted to own the company, but I knew that there was some shaky stuff within the company. I knew that the financials were pretty much, a rough start. And I knew that it could be a risky decision where I could lose everything if they go out of business. So I made the decision to just go ahead and buy it because the shares tanked at $2.10, and I think it was cruising around almost $4 the few days before, and then then their earnings report came out, the Q3 earnings report, and boom, straight down. So I knew I wanted to own this company. I knew I liked the long-term view of it, so I just went ahead and snatched it up, and then I was like, oh wait, I wonder what their actual Q10 says, or I wonder what they actually said on their earnings call. So anyway, it's now Saturday, and I'm listening to the call, and I've written down after I listened to this call, thankfully, I was reassured that this is probably going to be a good long-term investment. Short-term investment, maybe not. It might go down into the around $1 a share. But after everything I heard on this conference call today, I am very much reassured. Now, if you look at their 10K or 10Q report, whichever one it is, on their website, you're going to be a little caught off guard because there is a lot of stuff that just shows that they have a ton of debt coming in. Their cash flows have gone down. Their revenues are, pretty shaky. They're branching out into stuff that seems like a little bit of a reach. So it makes it seem like Aemetis is a little on shaky ground right now. And that is probably true. I mean, to some point, that is definitely true for a lot of businesses in America right now. But let's talk about some of the things that I heard on the conference call that I would like to share with you that might give you a little bit of solace if you are thinking of buying this company and maybe Monday has come around and it brought an opportunity for you to buy. So, first thing, rising ethanol usage. This is one thing that they talked about on the conference call, that even though in Q2 ethanol usage had gone in the tank thanks to the stay-at-home orders that they put in place in California, Q3 has brought back, I think they said 11% ethanol purchase and things like that. So people are actually being more willing to travel, and they're going around and they're using fuel sources. And the demand, they were deemed essential by California. So that means that, I know I talked about this in a previous video, I was concerned about Aemetis because they are located in California. California is lockdown central. And so I was worried that, hey, they're just basically going to be out of business until this whole corona thing is over. But I heard on the conference call that they are deemed an essential business, so they have been able to function through all of this. And the only reason that their profits haven't hit the tank is because they are also using their own products. So all the trucks that Aemetis uses, all of the refineries and the places that actually have to use gas to survive or need to use ethanol fuels, Aemetis supplies their own products. So they are able to cut that cost for their usage on their company. So that is really a great thing for them because they're able to basically put that money back into their company and not have to use it as an operating expense. So that's a great thing for them. And also they are getting tons and tons of grants from California. Everything that they're doing as far as they're creating new pipelines for dairy plants, everything from upgrading their current facilities, adding the ability to produce hand sanitizer and ethanol sanitizer and create ethanol fuels. These are all under grants. So this is, yes, Aemetis has taken out a lot of loans, but a lot of the things that they're doing to their facilities right now, that they're allowing, that they're creating upgrades for, that they're setting themselves up for revenues and cash flows in the future, all of this is being done through grants. This is not stuff that Aemetis is having to pay for. California is just, making it rain on Aemetis, and they're going to be able to make all of these changes and all these adjustments with the funding of California's budget and not having to depend solely on Aemetis taking out debt. So that is a great thing for them. Like we said before, hand sanitizer and alcohol is something that they were really pushing on this conference call and the Q3 report. They're very confident that the virus has given the world an opportunity to use more hand sanitizer, to make ethanol hand sanitizer and ethanol, well, hold on, we'll talk about that in a second. Ethanol hand sanitizer first is something that is going to be used worldwide for the foreseeable future. It has been in the past, but now with the current 2020 situation across the world, everybody is going to be using hand sanitizer, and everybody is going to want to know that they have the best. And Aemetis is in a position where they're able to do a super ultra refined process to make ethanol grade hand sanitizer that is just perfect for what people need as far as being a pure substance for antibacterials. Now, ethanol is also used in alcohol. I never really want to invest in companies that have a stake in alcohol. Like, I never want to invest in Budweiser, beer companies, or liquor companies or things like that. I'm not super stoked about Aemetis getting into the alcohol refinery business. I do see that it is a likely thing that's going to happen because what they're involved in as far as methane reuse and ethanol and wood clearing is something they also talked about. But all of these things can be used to, create alcohol. So it's a way for them to create revenue for themselves. I'm not super stoked about it just because it's not something that I like investing in personally, but I understand why Aemetis is doing it because they need to keep their head above water and not go to zero. So it's understandable, but maybe just not my favorite thing in the world. So now we talked about that they have all these grants. What they're doing is, with these grants, one of the things that they're doing to create additional cash flows in the future is creating additional dairy pipelines. And that means, if you know anything about Aemetis, they use the methane runoff from dairy farms, which are pooled in things called lagoons on dairy farms. Like all of the waste and liquid runoff and things like that gets put into one section of a dairy farm that pools and is called a dairy lagoon that creates a ton of methane from that. So what Aemetis is doing with the grants is creating additional pipelines to pull that runoff from those lagoons to Aemetis's refineries to create things like renewable natural gas and hand sanitizer using the methane and the ethanol produced from those lagoons. So that is projected to create an additional $40 million in cash flow for Aemetis in the future. Now, they said the future. What does that mean? The future could be 2021. The future could be 2057. They didn't really get that specific about it. They just said that they are in production and it will happen soon. So again, soon is very relative. So we're just going to hope and pray that this is something that happens probably next 5 to 10 years, because I'm looking at this as maybe a 5-year investment at the most. I'm going to reevaluate at the mid 2021 mark and see where we are with Aemetis, but right now it seems like a good thing. But anyway, so a lot of these similar statements have been made about India, and Aemetis, if you don't know, is also in India. Aemetis in America and India are the two largest producers of methane, or converting methane to renewable natural gas and things like that. And India if you don't know, is one of also the leading oil suppliers of the world. Now, India is wanting to get away from having to import things like petroleum or gas-related products like that. So they are moving towards the renewable natural gas sector as well, because as you know, America is the thought leader of the world. The world tends to follow what America does as far as trends and things like that, as for environmental reasons and humane reasons. So if America is setting the standard for being the #1 clean energy country in the world, a lot of the larger companies are likely to follow. And America's putting incentives out there. So India is one of the companies who is taking up these incentives to get on the renewable natural gas bandwagon. And they are I think Aemetis in India was the only, as they said on the conference call, was the only company within India to create and still produce renewable natural gas, because they were already set up before the 2020 situation happened. So that means that in India, companies that didn't get started like Aemetis did before 2020 were having to go through legal issues and things to get their companies set up to start producing renewable natural gas, whereas Aemetis in India was already set up, so they were the only ones that have gotten I guess they're the only ones on the block who can do renewable natural gas within India. So that means that they are leaps and bounds ahead of anyone there. So in the future, that is likely going to be a very successful operation for them. And kudos to Aemetis for thinking ahead and just going ahead and partnering with India, since they wanted to make that conversion to renewable natural gas as well. And it just seems like more funds right now. This is jumping back to Aemetis stock in general, right? I looked at the investing as far as volumes for Aemetis and how the trends since I think 2008 to 2020 have played out. And this stock IPO'd at like $200. It's gone down considerably, like maybe in the, I think $1.80 something was the lowest it ever got, maybe $1.70. But anyway, there were a few funds that bought Aemetis and then sold Aemetis. Like you'd see $70 million shares buy in like a week, and then $70 million shares sell in like a month or so. However, if you look at Aemetis's volume buying and selling within the last year, you'll notice that it is a considerably more concentrated buying and selling. Like it is not how it was in the past, where it was just like every year or so there was a company that bought 70 million shares. That's happening pretty regularly in 2020. I don't know if it's just, I doubt that it's because retail investors are buying 70 million shares, but this is a good indicator that funds are starting to take notice of Aemetis, and they see Aemetis as a long-term play. So that is good news for us, because if we're in Aemetis now, that means that funds will likely start to invest in Aemetis in the future, which means that's going to drive the stock price up, and Aemetis is going to have the backing to survive and get out of this hard time. And now, this is your time to make a decision. Luckily, I was able to listen to this conference call and be reassured after I bought the stock. This is certainly not how you should do things. You should not buy it just because it went down and then hope that everything is still intact. Thankfully, everything worked out in this situation, and I feel comfortable with this stock purchase. I'm going to reevaluate, like I said, within about a year and see where Aemetis is. I'm going to keep you guys updated and let you know what I'm feeling as far as Aemetis and the direction I think they're headed. I think it's going to be a good one. It's going to be a rough road, but I don't see it getting into below the $1 per share range. Could happen. Could go to zero. It's the same with every stock, so that we take that chance in the stock market with every stock we buy. But anyway, that's Aemetis. That's the conference call and everything that I gleaned from it. You're more than welcome to go listen to it. I'll put the link in the description below so you can find that conference call. And anyway, go out there and do something great, guys, because remember, someone is going to do something amazing every day. Why not you? See ya.